Hi, everybody. This is Linda. Let's talk houseplants. Today, I want to give you a little instructions on what happens when you get too many plants. If you're like me, there's no such thing as too many plants. Well, there is if you run out of room. Now, if you're like me, you don't want to give them away. So, what are you going to do? Well, you can combine two or more plants together in the same pot to make a beautiful arrangement. But there is a problem with doing that. If you don't know what you are doing, you might end up with a big pot of dead plants. So we're going to show you a few examples of what you can do and what you shouldn't do. All right, first off, you can put just about any cactus or succulents and cactus together. Jamie, hand me the old man cactus and any of the succulents that you can get your hands on. Now, this is a zebra cactus. This is Hiawatha, whatever, how you pronounce it. And if you notice here, I've got several here. There are...
They can't see it, but that's too far forward. Let me adjust back a bit.
There are several here in this pot. When this center plant was small, I put these in there with it. But it's gotten so big now that it's taken over the pot. And that's one of the things I want to bring up to you. You don't want to put a plant in with other plants that are faster grower than the other plants that you're putting in the pot. So if you do, what you'll end up having to do is transplant everything in a year or two. Now, this is a fairly slow grower, this zebra cactus. Can they see that?
Yeah, they can see just fine now.
That's a fairly slow grower. And it's green with white rims on it. This is an old man cactus. It's a slow grower, and it has the white beard. To go with the white rims on this zebra cactus, you can plant them in together, and you can take some of these small growing ones right here. And then you have this to go over the side. You always should have one to droop over the side. And so you can put them all together. So then all you have to worry about is finding one that'll go with this one. I don't have as many succulents that I used to. These are just some of my remnants, but I thought it would give you an idea of how you can group this plant. And where is it? I don't even know if you can see this. This plant. Can they see it?
Yeah.
And this plant and the zebra cactus all together. That way you get rid of everything except for this Hiawatha. This is overgrown everything, so you want to leave it by itself. It's not allowing these other plants to grow. This grows so slowly, you can give that plenty of places to go. Okay, Jimmy, you can take these. Another example of what not to do is you don't want to put a vining plant with an upright plant. Jamie, hand me the golden pothos. This golden pothos, it has been growing one new leaf a day. That gives you an idea how fast it grows. So some people are putting different kinds of pothos together. And that's a good idea because they do get quite large, as you notice with my what's it called? Mystery Queen or some kind of queen pothos.
Rose Queen?
Huh?
I can't remember.
I can't either. It's over there. But anyway, they've been putting a lot of different pothos together, and it makes a marbled effect. And I've even seen them put philodendron with them. Problem with that, the philodendron doesn't grow as fast as the pothos does, and it just ends up getting taken over. So if you're going to mix pothos together, different kinds, make sure you stick with just pothos. And not all pothos grows the same speed. So make sure that they do, because otherwise you're going to have them take over. Now, you don't want to put a pothos. Jamie, hand me the evergreen, the Chinese evergreen. You don't want to put the pothos with an upright plant, because what's going to happen is this is going to have the inclination to climb around this Chinese evergreen and strangle it. So you don't want to do that. Now, the Jade and Pearl. I love this little plant, and that's the key. It's little. You don't want to put this little plant with this bigger plant, because, as I've said, this will grow so fast, and this is a much slower grower. I got these at the same time, and this one has just gone crazy, and this one is just now starting to get a few new leaves. So this would be drowned out in no time. So if you're going to do vines, keep them together with like vines. Okay, Jamie? Now, here is a couple of plants that you can put together. The 10.
All right.
These two I've shown you before is the nerve plant here on the left, my left. I found out the reason there is red ones and green ones is because they're two kinds in the same container. But it turned out beautifully. So what you can do is plant this croton in with this nerve plant, because of the color combination accentuates one another. Now, when this croton gets too big, you'll have to repot. But this is a good color combination. Now, the other thing you can do is find you an attractive pot like we've got here, and just place the plants in there. You don't have to worry about potting them in a pot together. Just place them together like I've done here. Okay, let's see. Do we have any other examples that I need? I think that's it. Okay, I can't see because that light's in my eyes.
Here, I'll guys.
Another thing that I'd like to remind you is when you're potting them together, make sure that they are need the same things, like the same water amount in their system, the same light, the same humidity. If you plant one plant that really likes to stay on the dry side in with a plant that really likes to stay on the moist side, one of them is going to die. So you might want to consider that when you're potting them all together. Also, when you're potting together, you want to make sure both plants require the same light exposure. If you've got one plant that requires bright light and one plant that really likes to be in a low light situation, don't put them together. They require, one of them's going to die. Then you've got your plants that, like a snake plant. You don't want to plant that with, say, Chinese evergreen. Snake plant, you can water that sucker about once a month, every month and a half. You better not go that long with the Chinese evergreen because it'd be dead. So you got to keep all of that in consideration. Now, also, when you get so many plants, you're having to put them in places that really do not do well for plants because there's not very much light. You can remedy that. We got lucky this past week. Lowe's had grow lights. They're $69.99. They had them for $17. And Jamie went down and they had 2 left. I only needed 1, but I said, hey, get both of them. Because I had places, because I got so many plants now, I was putting them in places that didn't get very much light. And this is what you're going to remember now. You've got to have plenty of light for most plants. So consider grow lights. Keep your eye open for sales because grow lights can be expensive. And not all grow lights are the same. You don't want just plain white light. You want the full spectrum light. And you want to set them up for sunrise to sunset because in their natural habitat, that's the way light is for them, sunrise to sunset. And you want to maintain as much of their natural habitat with their water and humidity and light as possible. So be sure, and when you're buying plants, say, okay, now I've run out of places that has good light, but I don't want to stop buying plants. Well, get you a grow light. And they come all different sizes and shapes, and from a regular light bulb that you can put in your lamp or your overhead light to the kind that are on stands or hang from the ceiling. I mean, there's all kinds you can get. When you get a new plant, and I did not know this until I transplanted one of my new plants. Back in my day, they didn't do this, but now they're doing it. They've got these little teeny weeny plastic pots that they rooted the plant in. And when it rooted, rather than taking it out of that pot and putting it in soil, they put the pot and everything in, and then the soil, I think it's some sort of peat moss or something. But when you're ready to have to transplant, you got to take that plastic pot off. A lot of times you have to take it off before you're ready to transplant because it's not going to grow any further than that pot. I haven't checked all my new ones yet. I've got to do that. Plus, there are those that don't have the pot, but they have a sort of a burlap, and I don't know what else to call it, that you got to take out so that the roots will have room to grow. And then when they come through the potholes, you'll know it's time to transplant. But they can't do that until you take all of those different devices out of there so they can grow. Let's see, what else are there? I can't see my own writing, and then when I see it, I can't read it.
Do you lighting?
Oh yeah, cover pots. Remember I told y'all that when we went to Home Depot, they were drowning their plants. They would water them like crazy, and it would have that much water in the cover pot. And I guess they left it in there, and then those plants are going to be root rot. And when you take it home and it dies, you'll think you did something wrong, and it was them. So when you water your plants, and if they are in a cover pot, you're going to want to give it about 10 or 15 minutes after you water it, and then go back and check the cover pot. If there's any water in the bottom, empty it out. Here's why. One, when you water it, most people water right in the middle of the plant, and that's not good. You need to get all around the plant, like I told you in the very beginning of these videos. But because we're in a hurry, we just do one spot. And what happens is it kind of drains off into the side and down the side of the dirt, in between the dirt and the pot, and goes down into your cover pot. Now, if you wait 10 or 15 minutes, what's going to happen is all that water that's sitting in the bottom of the cover pot, your plant is going to soak it back up into the soil because it's dry, so it'll act like a sponge. So after about 15 minutes, you go and you check it, and if there's a bunch of water in the bottom, go ahead and dump it out because it's had time to soak it up if it's going to. All right. Don't forget maintenance, leaf maintenance. This is something that if you have as many plants as I do, you probably won't do this, but maybe once or twice a year. But these leaves collect dust. Now, I'm always feeling my leaves and just loving on my plant like this, and oftentimes I'm getting rid of the dust like that. But you need to go around with a wet rag, and you need to wipe off your large leaves, get all that dust off of there so it can breathe. Most people don't think about doing that. If you use a grow light, also those things only help at a certain distance. So you might want to read your box to find out how far away your plants should be from that grow light. Lastly, I think that was lastly. The worm casting tea that I've been feeding my plants lately has done a wonderful job. This monstera has, for the first time in its life, gotten a leaf that not only has the splits in it, but it has holes in it here too. And that's a perfect leaf when they have not only the splits, but the holes. I've never had the holes until just recently. And this plant's been sitting here for 6 years. So it's the worm tea that is doing it for them. The new Dieffenbachia has 4 new leaves coming up. The Chinese evergreen over there has 3 new leaves coming up. All of my plants are just loving that tea. So that might help you if you want your plants to be happy and grow fast. And I don't know if my leaves are going to be bigger, but that one over there sure looks big. So that's all I got for you today. Maybe one of these days, when I can afford to do a moss pole, I will show you what to do with moss poles. Like I said before, I would rather do a cedar wood plank than a moss pole. I don't have the kind of energy it takes to keep up a moss pole. Cedar wood, they grow just as fast and just as well on cedar wood as they do a moss pole. But one of these days, I'm going to put cedar wood on this monstera. One of these days. Maybe after the rapture, I don't know. Okay, guys, I hope this helped you a lot. I hope to see you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.